The World of Outlaws will have sprint car rule changes for 2026, and not everyone completely agrees with what's coming. We'll talk through what exactly is changing and why, plus Xtreme Midget results, a question about driver pay, and more. Let's go. It's Tuesday, November 4th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. Did you know that DIRTRACKR is on Patreon? You can actually find the show at patreon.com/DIRTRACKR. It's free to sign up there and just another way to keep up with everything dirt racing. If you sign up for the top tier premium membership there, you can get the daily show completely ad-free. That means no platform ads, no ad content from me, just dirt racing. Members also get access to their own chat. There's extra content and other perks. If you want to join, hit up patreon.com/DIRTRACKR. You can also support the show on YouTube with a channel membership that gets you some added perks for just a few bucks a month. Click the join button at youtube.com/DIRTRACKR for more information on how to sign up. A couple of weeks ago, over on the Bird app, now known as X, sprint car driver Danny Dietrich did what Danny Dietrich does online, and that's stir things up. The first post from him said, quote, "Anyone want to hear my opinion on World of Outlaws upcoming rule changes and Tommy D? I've absolutely had enough of the stupid bullshit opinions and tunnel vision," unquote. He followed that up about an hour later with a several paragraph long post about fuel cell tabs and where things currently stand with a situation he obviously doesn't agree with. In the current World of Outlaws rulebook, it says that 6 mounting points for fuel cells are recommended, but for 2026, that verbiage is changing from recommended to effectively required. This fuel cell rule is one of several that are being implemented for next year, and a full bulletin was recently sent to the teams with all of this detailed. I've been sent a copy of that bulletin, and I thought we could talk about all of the items today. All of the changes coming are safety related, that is, except for one. We'll get to that one kind of at the end. The verbiage being added to the fuel cell rule Dietrich doesn't like is, quote, "Fuel cells must be mounted with at least 6 mounting points subject to World of Outlaws officials' approval. Example, Kading and XXX devices are acceptable. Others will be approved case by case. Any type of web material or tether will not be allowed to be used as a mounting point," unquote. All of this is in response to fuel cells becoming unattached from cars during crashes, which obviously you don't want. Officials want to keep that from happening, but there's clearly not consensus for the best way to do it. There are also updates to the left side bodywork, with officials concerned here about drivers having a clear way to exit the car in a crash. Any panels on that left side or arm guard can't exceed 31 inches above the lower rail, and there must be an 18-inch wide opening front to back. This one will potentially only affect those guys that run that larger left side arm guard panel. I don't know exactly the measurements, but the names that come to mind who run that type of panel like that include Logan Schuhardt, Tyler Courtney, Brent Marks, Aaron Reitzel, Brenham Crouch, among others. I need a tape measure, though, to know if those cars are legal as is or if they would need adjustments here. I'm certainly not saying that those cars are illegal as they stand, but it may need to be checked out before next season. Rule change 3 is that carbon fiber floor pans are no longer allowed. Only steel or aluminum will be legal. I'm told this is in response to a crash this year where a driver's feet went through that carbon fiber floor pan, so that seems reasonable. Up next is a rule change that was already spelled out for 2026. In Section 5 under axles, the current rules read, quote, "Ultralight rear axles are not recommended for 2025 and will not be allowed in 2026. After January 1st, 2026, the maximum inside diameter of the rear axle will be 1.875 inches. So that one just now official. Change number 5 is the addition of a chassis support bar from the hip rail up. This one is listed as recommended for 2026, but not required. But it does say this will likely be mandatory for 2027 after more research. If you remember back to the Tyler Courtney crash at Eldora and the subsequent photos shared by Dan Lawson from Schnee Lawson Chassis, these would be what they call their lifesaver bars. Not every driver runs these, but I believe they're an option from most chassis builders. And then the final rule is the one that's non-safety related, and it has to do with wings, both front and top wings. The verbiage says, quote, "Front wings position and qualifying top wings." There has been some discussion about these two topics. After looking at all the facts, there will not be rule changes to these rules for 2026. There are plans to develop a single precision manufactured front wing gauge that will be used by all sanctioning bodies and tracks going forward, unquote. Qualifying wings have certainly been a topic around here, especially earlier in the season around Kyle Larson and Paul Silva. I like that those aren't being outlawed. Also, that front wing gauge situation, I'm assuming, has to do with the type of issue we saw David Gravel suffer with High Limit, where he was DQ'd for that front wing on his car being too far forward. In asking around a bit, all of these seem to be fairly welcome changes. There is just the question really over the implementation of the fuel cell mounting. It's important to note the World of Outlaws, along with Knoxville and a few other racetracks, have long been the leaders in sprint car rule changes, but High Limit's emergence has really changed things. We saw Mike Hess take High Limit a different direction this past season on some things, and it's possible they don't follow along with what's being implemented here with the Outlaws. I hope, though, things don't stray too far between the two sides so that we're not splitting cars across the country. We certainly don't need a scenario where teams need an Outlaw car and a High Limit car to race each week with the different series. At Millbridge last night to begin the Xtreme Midget finale for 2025, Carter Sarf made a big charge through the field, going 9th to the win. That was his 4th victory of the season and 10th of his career with the series. Kenneth McIntosh and Trevor Klein rounded out the night's podium. There was a big crash right before halfway that kind of changed the complexion of those front runners, with several leaders getting involved, including Hayden Wise and championship leader Jacob Denny. Denny's car looked pretty hurt, but the Keith Kunz team was masterful in the work area, getting Denny back out and in the game. He drove back to a top 10 finish to avoid his first DNF of the season. He's going to easily wrap up the series title tonight. I believe they already have shared today across social media that he's the champion. Some others who raced last night included Ty Gibbs, Nick Hoffman, and Sheldon Hodenshield. Gibbs ended up 12th in that feature. Hoffman was in a crash, finished 18th, and Sheldon missed the feature transfer in the B-Main. They're going to do it all over again tonight to close out the 2025 season. It will be live on Dirt Vision if you would like to tune in. Last thing for today, we've got some questions and topics from YouTube/Patreon members this week, and we'll talk about one of those here. iVision Shoff 2 says, quote, I know you made a video in the past about the finances of operating a sprint car team, but I'm curious what drivers actually make in a year. I just saw a video that Cy Lynch made about $120,000 in winnings this year. Is that his money or is that split with the team owner? I know a lot of drivers have their own agreements on splitting prize money with their owners, so not sure how many specifics you know, but I've always been curious what drivers actually make in a year. I'm guessing the lifestyle of David Gravel is probably a lot different than a guy driving for 8th or 10th place on a national tour, unquote. Yeah, thanks for the question, and you'd be correct about lifestyles being different. The most standard deal for professional drivers in dirt racing, whether that's sprint cars or late models or whatever, is 40 to 50% of the winnings. Maybe the really top guys are able to get some guarantees on top of that, but this percentage split is really the most common. And most drivers, they don't have anything but handshake agreements. Very few have actual signatures on paper for these deals. So, for example, Buddy Kofoid, he's the top money winner so far this year. He's $802,000 in race winnings, so he's keeping $300,000 to $400,000 of that. Remember, though, a lot of drivers are on their own for travel and expenses. So that means plane tickets, hotel rooms, rental cars, meals, whatever they have on the road. And those expenses are going to come out of what they make. There may be additional bonuses from the teams for wins and championships, and drivers will also get a piece of any of that year-end championship payout money. The other big money maker for drivers is merch sales. That's if they obviously have a big enough following. It's not cheap to have a merch trailer at every race. You're talking about, you need a truck and a trailer and fuel, and it costs money to buy that merch. So that means needing to sell some minimum amount of merch to even break even on a nightly basis. The top guys, though, do very well into the 6 figures in profit a year on that front. But thanks for the question and for supporting Dirt Tracker. That's the show for today. Don't forget, if you want even more dirt racing content, make sure to follow Dirt Tracker across social media. That means Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and more. Wherever you are, so is Dirt Tracker. Just search out DIRTRACKR on your favorite platform. Hope you guys have a great Tuesday out there. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.